54th edition of the FIM Ice Speedway World Championship gets underway, the first of 4 different nations, with in total 10 days of racing crowning 2019's top gladiator. And after 2018's visit to Astana, it's a return to Almaty for the Kazakhstan finals that open this latest campaign. A series of national nominations and qualifiers in Europe last month have determined the 15 permanent riders for the 2019 series, all of whom have World Championship experience. Included in the field are last season's top 6, 4 of them Russian big hitters who will lead the fight for the FIM medals this season. Daniil Ivanov, Dmitry Komitsevich and Dmitry Koltukov have won 6 world titles between them, but it's reigning and 3 times world champion Koltukov who's the man to beat. Last season was great for me, and the plan this year is for more of the same. I know it won't be easy because all of my competitors are good riders. I won't reveal too many secrets, but I've made a few technical changes that I think will make me even stronger. The qualification of Nikita Toloknov and Andrei Shishigov, both inexperienced at World Championship level, but present as one of wildcards in 2018, brings the total of Russian nationals up to 6 and brings the sport's established stars some extra competition for grand final places. I rode both the European and World Championships in 2006, and I started well with a final in Krasnogorsk, but a crash and injury from Assen made me lose my place. Then last season I was contacted about switching my allegiance to Kazakhstan, and now I have the opportunity to represent them and ride in the World Championship again. I'm very pleased to show young riders from Kazakhstan the way forward. Competition from Western Europe in recent seasons has been centred around a resurgent Swedish cohort. Aside from veteran Stefan Svensson, 30 years on from his World Championship debut, it's a block of youth riders who've been closing down the Russians. And with Martin Hiltunen having challenged his way into 6 grand finals last season to take a world number 4 ranking, hopes are high of a non-Russian medalist for the first time in a decade. I know it's going to be really difficult to keep my world ranking so high. And although I'm going to try, I know I'm still learning as well. So I won't be disappointed every time I miss the semi-finals or final. But of course, the goal is still to win. As Harold Simon, Jan Kotowski and Gunter Bauer all missed the 2019 World Championship finals, the door is open to 3 riders who made sporadic appearances last season but now claim a permanent place. Germany's Stefan Pletschakar and Max Niedermayer are back, and Charlie Ebner Jr. qualifies for the first time as the leading Austrian competitor. In total, 16 riders from 5 different countries start the 2019 season in Almaty. Stefan Pletschakar misses the Kazakhstan round after being ruled out late through injury, so Vladimir Cheblakov steps in to replace him. Sergei Serov, the second Kazakh rider in the lineup, as the wildcard. First day of 2019 Ice Speedway competition in Almaty, the venue for the very first Kazakh ice final 30 years ago. And just as that weekend in 1989, it was a story of Russian dominance on the latest visit to Kazakhstan's most populous city. But Martin Hiltunen provided some respite for international fans as he impressively broke the run of Russian heat winners with successive passes on Dinar Valeev and Nikita Toloknov. Valeev produced a barnstorming ride of his own in the second round of heats to pass Stefan Svensson and hunt down Dmitry Koltukov. The youngster remained without a race win after 2 outings as the reigning champion held on to maintain his status as the man to beat. Valeev, though, showed speed and promise upon which he later delivered, taking 2 race victories on his way towards a place in the semi-finals. Koltukov, not quite at his best, nonetheless only suffered his first defeat of the meeting in the 3rd round. Franz Zorn was the most notable casualty of the heat stages as he suffered a weekend to forget in Kazakhstan. A solid enough scorer in the heats, the Austrian former world number 2 was the blameless victim of a harrowing 3rd ride crash and later withdrew through injury. Not, though, until he had suffered a further fall in his final outing that deprived him of a place in the semi-finals. Zorn will make the trip to Shadrinsk, but undergo a late fitness test on his leg before deciding whether to abort the Russian stage of his campaign. After successfully dispatching all of his Russian rivals, Daniil Ivanov looked set to lead the scoring into the semi-finals, but he was denied a 15-point maximum by another special ride from Martin Hiltunen, the Swede taking his third race victory of the meeting after capitalising on a rare mistake from the two-time world champion. Martin Hiltunen is the only factor among the top 5 Russians. Andrei Shishagov struggling with 2 disqualifications and failing to make the grade. Franz Zorn and Stefan Svensson are the other big-name eliminees to drop out before the semi-final stages. The first set of semi-finals in 2019, 2 grand final places up for grabs. The lineup here resumes the Heat 18 rivalry between Daniil Ivanov and Martin Hiltunen, with a couple of spoilers mixed in as well. Off the inside gate in the red helmet colour, 2019 Russian champion Daniil Ivanov, just 1 drop point during the heats, the top seed. Gate 2 in blue, Martin Hiltunen, who beat Ivanov in the heats in the 5th round, a finalist in 6 of his 10 World Championship meetings to date. Gate 3 in the white helmet colour, Nikita Tolokhnov, in his first World Championship appearance outside of Russia. This is his 4th semi-final appearance to date. And the outside gate is with Ove Ledstrom, 9 points so far, his best in 9 World Championship meetings and a first semi-final since Astana last year. 2 Swedes and 2 Russians then, this could almost be a World Cup race. Ivanov, Hiltunen, Tolokhnov and Ledstrom get underway with a fast start off the 2 inside starting positions. Tolokhnov relegated down to 3rd, now locks it up on the inside, hits a rut off turn 2 and goes to the back. Meanwhile, Martin Hiltunen making progress, lunges for a move down the inside on turn number 3, he's drifted wide, bobbles across the track surface on the top turn, and Ivanov hits the front at the end of the opening lap. The 2 favourites for qualification through to the grand final, the 2 highest seeds into this race, are occupying the top 2 positions as it stands, and we got 2 races in 1. Ivanov finding things a little bit rough on the inside line on the top turn, and Hiltunen gaining in ground there. Looking to repeat his heat exploits with a pass on Daniil Ivanov, but Ivanov, for now at least, is in control of semi-final number 1. Daniil Ivanov then in red leads it ahead of Martin Hiltunen in 2nd. Nikita Tolokhnov getting through on the inside line there of Ove Ledstrom. That looks set to be enough for the consolation point. Tolokhnov having taken a significant amount of time, though, to close in and pass Ove Ledstrom. He's not going to get to Martin Hiltunen for a place in the grand final, so it's going to be a Swede and a Russian who move through as the first 2 qualifiers of 2019. Daniil Ivanov with the race victory, ahead of Martin Hiltunen in 2nd position. Nikita Tolokhnov eliminated in 3rd. Disappointment for him, but he moves on to a double-figure tally. He and Ove Ledstrom will have to wait for final 2. Line up for semi-final number 2 then. Dmitry Komitsevich goes off the inside gate. Grand finalist in all but 2 of the 2018 rounds, a favourite to progress. Dmitry Koltakov, winner of both Kazakhstan finals staged in Astana last season, goes off gate 2 in blue. Dinar Valeev, tough semi-final lineup for him because of some slow starts in the heats, the 5th seed. Hans Weber, only a 2nd semi-final appearance in 10 meetings. Semi-final number 2, not a bad start actually from Hans Weber, but he's going to get hung out to dry one's senses around the outside line as the 2 Russians lock back well coming off turn number 2. Dmitry Koltakov with a strong move down the inside of Dmitry Komitsevich into the top bend has made a pass for the lead, and Valeev aggressive through on Weber as well for 3rd position. Plenty of position changes already on lap number 1. Now, can Dinar Valeev? Oh dear, problems for Dmitry Koltakov coming off turn number 2. I was just about to ask the question as to whether Dinar Valeev could find a way to get in amongst the top 2, and I think that might be it. Dmitry Koltakov with a mechanical failure right on the racing line, and frankly, there was no way for Dinar Valeev to avoid him there. Koltakov predictably disqualified. It's a 3-rider restaging for the semi-final. Disaster then for Dmitry Koltakov, who's eliminated and has cost himself potentially 6 points there. Komitsevich, and in particular Valeev, with a reprieve here. Semi-final number 2, 2nd time of asking. Weber tries to cut in on Dinar Valeev. He's actually done a very good job there into the 1st turn. but a little bit unfortunate, the German. Dmitry Komitsevich bobbling wide coming off turn number 2 and killing his momentum, killing his rival's run. It also allows Dinar Valeev to come through up the inside, and a rider who was at the back coming off turn 2 in the initial running has now picked up the race lead in the restaging. A little bit of awkward cosmic injustice here as Dinar Valeev pulls clear out in front, and Dmitry Komitsevich at the moment doesn't seem to have an answer. It's going to be 2 Russians through to the grand final. Hans Weber, as I said, a rare semi-final appearance for him. He's looked strong during the heat stages, but nowhere near strong enough to challenge the Russians, and he's almost a full length of a straight behind the race leader, Dinar Valeev, who heads into the final lap. In command of this one, Dmitry Komitsevich more interested in looking over his shoulder to check on the progress of Weber, just to be absolutely certain that he's going to make the grand final here today. There is Komitsevich making his way around turns 3 and 4 for the final time. It's Valeev home for a comfortable race victory. A little bit of good fortune for him, but sometimes that's what it takes. Komitsevich second over the line for 2, and Weber gets the consolation point after the disqualification of Koltykov. Dmitry Koltykov's run of 6 consecutive final wins is ended then by his elimination, and we're guaranteed a new winner for the first time since Togliatti last year. Danil Ivanov goes off the inside gate in red, a winner here in 2016, the only previous Almaty winner in fact lining up in this one. Dinar Valeev off gate 2 in blue, finished 2018 with 3 consecutive podiums, starts the new season as he means to go on with a place in the final. Gate 3 in white, Dmitry Komitsevich, just 1 final win last campaign for the 2016 world champion. And the spoiler off the outside gate, Martin Harri-Hiltunen, looking for the 3rd podium of his relatively young career. Will it be an all-Russian podium to kick off proceedings in 2019? Martin Harri-Hiltunen hasn't made a good start off gate number 4. It's Dmitry Komitsevich who gets the whole shot, but he's passed coming off turn number 2 by Danil Ivanov. Harri-Hiltunen also making progress. Picks off Dinar Valeev by copying Ivanov's line coming off the second bend. 2 fights in 1 then early on. Great battle going on out in front. Danil Ivanov moving to block Dmitry Komitsevich. He's left the ground wide open for Dinar Valeev, and from 4th to 1st, Dinar Valeev comes through to hit the front. Ivanov looking for a cutback coming off turn 4, but he bobbled on the red line on the inside, and Dinar Valeev now has a clear advantage in this grand final. Valeev in front, Ivanov under pressure in 2nd position from Dmitry Komitsevich. Martin Harri-Hiltunen tailed off after being picked off by Valeev early on. Looks wider than Komitsevich on the top bend. At least for the Swede, he's on the pace of the Russians. He's going to look to the inside coming into 1 and 2. Komitsevich has left the door wide open. Oh, Harri-Hiltunen's gone down. Manages to stay on the bike bizarrely though. He's crossed the red line, and that's going to be the end of the race for him. Race continues for 2nd position, but nobody's going to get there to challenge Dinar Valeev. And after 3 runner-up places in 2 World Championship seasons, Dinar Valeev claims his first grand final victory in the FIM Ice Speedway World Championship. Delight for Valeev as he takes the 3 race points, and most importantly the top step of the podium ahead of Danil Ivanov and Dmitry Komitsevich. The race was quite difficult. I had some technical difficulties and had to switch bikes, but I managed to get everything under control, and this is the result. A great win. Despite defeat in the final, Danil Ivanov drops just 2 points in 7 rides to lead the championship following the first of 10 meetings. Dmitry Koltykov's semi-final misfortune leaves him out of position, and Martin Harri-Hiltunen grasping hold of his 2018 ranking again. The focus on day 1 in Almaty is on winner Dinar Valeev. Dmitry Komitsevich was the man to beat during the heat stages on day 2, as he recorded a 15-point maximum to sail into the semi-finals as the top seed. The closest the 2016 world champion came to defeat was against Martin Harri-Hiltunen in the 3rd round of races, the Swede hitting the front at the end of the opening lap and defending well for the vast majority of the distance before succumbing on the final turn, much to his own frustration. Points leader Danil Ivanov maintained his championship advantage by reeling off 4 successive wins to match Komitsevich at the start of the meeting. Dinar Valeev cursing his fellow countryman's starting prowess as he spent 4 laps in a fruitless chase from 3rds. Valeyev's best ride of the heats was his fourth outing, as he took his second race victory of the meeting and inflicted a first defeat of the day on Dmitry Koltykov. A smart inside pass at the end of the opening lap gave the day one winner a lead he never surrendered, leaving Koltykov behind maximum men Komet-Savic and Ivanov on points before the sport's top three met in Heat 17. Komet-Savic came out on top, with Ivanov and Koltykov trading places and keeping one another back in the opening laps. Had Koltykov managed to clear Ivanov sooner in the first half of the race, he could well have made a bid to end Komet-Savic's maximum, but instead he had to settle for matching Ivanov's overall scoring. Meanwhile, in the battle for the last of the semi-final positions, Niklas Svensson made an error of judgment on the first turn, while clear in the second place he needed to steer into the top 8 for the first time in 2019. A first bend loss of control span him into the path of Andrei Shishigov, who took advantage of the restaging without the disqualified Svensson to qualify at the Swede's expense. Andrei Shishigov was the only non-qualified rider from day one to have made it into the semi-finals on day 2 in Almaty. Hans Weber once again squeezing through on 8 behind the established top 6. Two power-packed semi-finals on day 2 here in Almaty. The lineup for the first: Dmitry Komet-Savic off the inside gate, unbeaten from 5 rides. Gate 2 in blue, Dmitry Koltykov eliminated at the semi-final stage yesterday. Can't afford to drop too much further back here on points. Nikita Toloknov goes in white, the winner of heat number 20. A 6th seed draws a tough semi-final here. And the outside gate in yellow, Andrei Shishigov, semi-finalist as a wild card in Astana last year, now appearing as a permanent rider. It's an all-Russian quartet for semi-final number 1. Komet-Savic, Koltykov, Toloknov and Shishigov. Revs pick up and the tapes rise. Komet-Savic immediately trying to move across the front of Koltykov. He's done a good job of it into the first turn. Koltykov, though, gets a good run coming off turn number 2. Komet-Savic again has to be wary, moves to block, and that allows Toloknov to come all the way around the outside on the top turn. Koltykov holds his cool, holds his nerve, and holds second position. Now he can start to build an assault on Komet-Savic, who's left too much room. Coming off turn number 2 and again is having to go defensive. And while he's riding so defensively, Koltykov is building up his speed very nicely indeed. Half race distance, Komet-Savic moving to block. Koltykov looking slightly wider this time into turn number 1. Again, he's going to try the switchback coming off turn number 2. I can tell you now which two are going to make it through to the grand final. Big gap to Nikita Toloknov down in 3rd position, but it's the race up front that is really pulsating. Komet-Savic defending against Koltykov. Less than a lap for Koltykov to find a way through. Cut back off turn number 2. Komet-Savic again moves to block, looking over his shoulder for the majority of this race. Koltykov's got a good run into turn number 3. Goes all the way around the outside. A brilliant ride from Dmitry Koltykov to take the race victory in semi-final number 1. Koltykov is back with victory over Komet-Savic and Toloknov to move through to the grand final. Semi-final number 2, let's hope it's as good as the first was. Daniil Ivanov goes off the inside gate in red. 4 wins out of 5 so far. He's the favourite for this one. But a real battle in prospect here between the 2 young chargers off gates 2 and 3. Dinar Valeyev in blue, Martin Harahiltonen in white. A more challenging semi-final than yesterday for the Swede. Hans Weber, already more semi-final appearances in 2019 than the whole of last season put together. Now looking for that elusive first final. He completes the lineup off the outside gate. Ivanov, Valeyev, Harahiltonen and Weber. Harahiltonen with a good start there off gate number 3. He gets boxed out slightly by Daniil Ivanov, and Valeyev is going to try and follow his fellow countryman through up the inside. He's done so. Weber thinks about a move down the inside into turn number 3, but eventually thinks better of it. And now we've got the 2 Western Europeans giving chase to the Russians out in front. Ivanov the leader. Valeyev in second position, looks tighter on the tail of Ivanov and may even have an opportunity to get past him here. Harahiltonen not really at the races with the top 2 slipping back and actually slipping into the clutches of Hans Weber, whose outside line seems to be working well here in semi-final number 2. Weber chasing hard then, with Harahiltonen on the inside waiting for a mistake up front. Valeyev chasing Ivanov, but not really finding much purchase either. Here he goes again for a big sweep around the outside line. Ivanov covers it off well. Harahiltonen's doing the same as Ivanov, out at the back to Hans Weber. And things are settling down in this second semi. Harry Hiltunen now moves slightly wider on turns 1 and 2. Webber just doesn't know which way to go to try and pass the Swede, and I don't think he's going to get there. Turns 3 and 4 for the final time. Harry Hiltunen's off the bike once again, and this time it's into the bales as the other three come across the line to complete semi-final number 2. Valeev and Ivanov moving through. Harry Hiltunen throws away a certain point there, with Hans Webber getting the verdict and the consolation to move on to 9. The 4 Russian big guns, 3 of whom met in a pulsating Heat 17, are the finalists here in Almaty. Daniil Ivanov, never a winner around this circuit, looking to put that right here, goes off gate 1. Dmitry Koltykov, winner here in 2015, makes his first final of 2019 after yesterday's semi-final misfortune. Dmitry Kometsevich looking for his first victory in 8 finals, 3rd on day 1. Beat Ivanov and Koltykov from the same gate in the heat, so optimistic here. Dinar Valeev completing the lineup, now up to 8 career podiums after his day 1 victory, targeting the double. Ivanov, Koltykov, Kometsevich and Valeev. You could not ask for a stronger heat lineup. It's the grand final on day 2 here in Almaty. The last race before the Russian Tour gets underway. And it's a level break, but it's Kometsevich again who shows. Fast trapping as ever from Kometsevich. Valeev getting around the outside of Koltykov. It's combative stuff going into turn number 3 with Koltykov breaking ahead of Valeev. Valeev switching to the inside coming off turn number 4. Drag race down into turn number 1. Battle for 3rd position early on. Koltykov trying to break clear of Valeev but can't do so. And Ivanov's nicked a line through up the inside on Kometsevich to hit the front. And suddenly the race is over second. Kometsevich has lost speed dramatically over the last lap or so, and Koltykov bangs elbows as they come down the start-finish straight, trying to find a way through. Koltykov clearly getting held back by Kometsevich, and Valeev almost comes through before hitting the tail of Koltykov, who now sweeps up to the outside line, desperate to pass Kometsevich and go off in pursuit of Daniil Ivanov. He's cleared 1. Can he clear 2 to make it another grandstand finale here in Almaty? Ivanov blocks. Koltykov is coming. It's going to be a last-ditch attempt from Koltykov around the outside line. He's going to go for the cutback instead, but Ivanov holds on. His first victory since 2017. Koltykov is denied, but provides some scintillating action in the grand final. What a weekend of ice speedway we have had here in Almaty, and it's a victory for Daniil Ivanov, the 2019 Russian champion, demonstrating that form in World Championship Ice Speedway with defeat of Dmitry Koltykov and Dmitry Kometsevich. With 2018's FIM medalists covered by just a point on day 2, the form guide was more closely followed in the standings with fewer major surprises. 6 Russians in the top 8, their lead quartet packing the final, and the rest left to pick up the pieces. This weekend has been very good for me because yesterday I finished second and today I took first, so I'm the overall leader. I will do my best to keep this position now, but this season is going to be very tough because my rivals are very strong, especially the other Russians.
Вчера 2-е место, сегодня 1-е место, и после 2 этапов на 1-м месте по общему количеству очков. В принципе, я очень рад этому уикенду.
The 2019 FIM Ice Speedway World Championship is nicely poised after the opening round, with the 4 main contenders separated by just 7 points and a tantalising battle already developing behind over 5th position. But the day belongs to Daniil Ivanov, who secures his first victory since 2017 in front of 7,000 fans as Ice Speedway returns to Almaty.